Looks like the House finally passed that bill, and the big infrastructure bill is going to get passed. That's going to be the next big giant stimulus package that the government is going to start spending money on. I'm going to cover a lot of the details for you in this stimulus check update information. There's going to be some new information about states, about automatic payments, plus this new infrastructure bill that's been passed in the House. Looks like it's done. It's going to go over to President Biden's desk, and I'll talk about the House and how they got that passed. And then possibly this new spending bill that they're trying to get passed by November 15th. That's going to be the next big giant spending bill on top of that. That's the social spending plan that the government is going to try to spend. They're going to, a ton of money is going to be sent out. They're going to be printing that money. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on the dollar. But I want to talk about certain things that's happening now with the states. So our automatic stabilizer is going to be backed by Congress. The call for automatic stabilizers, as the payments are described, is backed by members of Congress and millions of Americans. A joint statement from seven members of the Congress, who all serve on the Ways and Means Committee, called on President Biden to automate both unemployment insurance bolsters and direct stimulus payments. The pandemic has served as a stark reminder that families and workers need certainty in crisis, the letter reads. Referencing the months of debate that prefaced the first three stimulus payments, the Congress members argue citizens should not be at any mercy of constantly shifting legislation timelines and ad hoc solutions. They're talking about getting more payments out on a direct, monthly basis. They're talking about getting those payments out. Now, the child tax credit is already going out, but they want to get more stimulus out to people that don't have children, and they were talking about getting something like an automatic stabilizer set up to do that. I personally don't think that Congress will vote on this. I think the Federal Reserve is going to come out their own FedNow coin, and they're going to put an app on your phone, and then you'll be able to spend that money from the stimulus that they give to you on your phone. Ultimately, down the road, that's going to cause a lot of problems. I feel like as far as inflation goes, inflation right now is running away from themselves. They're running away because of the fact they're printing so much money. They've printed $10 trillion over the past 2 years, and so they're going to continue to just completely devalue the dollar right now. It's going to be under a lot of pressure. So Joe Biden is under pressure to automate future stimulus. Months after Americans received their third economic stimulus check, President Joe Biden is under pressure to automate any future stimulus payments. No vote would be necessary for payments to go out. The payments would be triggered by financial indicators like the rising unemployment rates. So the program would sidestep the political battles that have prevented President Biden from successfully issuing a fourth check. So President Biden really has no power to issue any type of checks. He can't write checks himself. He can't direct the Treasury to start sending out checks. He has to wait for Congress to get that done. He has got to wait for the House to pass these bills, and then it goes over to his desk. He signs it once both the House and the Senate pass these bills. And now if they can get an automatic payments go out, like the FedNow coin that the Treasury or the Federal Reserve is trying to put together, if they can get that out, that would be stimulus on a monthly basis, and that would go out to everybody. I think in the long run, that's really going to cause a lot of problems with inflation. So it looks like seniors are trying to get this $1,400 payment out. It says seniors are trying to get this. It's a Senior Citizens League, and they're trying to push for a $1,400 payments to those on SSI, SSDI, trying to get these payments out because of the way inflation's happening right now. Now, SSI has increased their monthly or their payments up by 5.6%, so you get more money. But inflation is running about 11 or 12%. And I don't see anything where the Federal Reserve is going to come in and raise interest rates to try to help offset some of the stimulus, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do that. So they're going to continue to print money that's going to put inflation through the roof. So it looks like the House got this infrastructure bill passed. This was something that the Senate already voted on, and they passed it. They were just waiting for the House. So it looked like the House held a marathon session on Friday in an effort to pass President Biden's $1.75 trillion social spending and climate package, which has been stuck in a battle between liberals and centrists fighting over its size and shape. The internal battles, which also gridlocked a bipartisan infrastructure bill already approved by the Senate, have been blamed for pulling down Biden's approval ratings and for a dismal showing by the party in Tuesday's off-year elections. When Democrats lost the governor's race in Virginia, where Biden won by 10 points just a year ago. I think that the infrastructure bill had nothing to do with the governor's race in Virginia. I think it was just a matter of something that came down to where a lot of people in Virginia just didn't like what the Democrats were doing as far as a lot of these mandates and other things that they've been pushing. Speaker Nancy Pelosi pushed for House to pass both the spending package and the infrastructure bill on Friday, with the House ultimately voting to send the latter to White House for Biden's signature. Democrats separately passed a rule that will govern debate on the spending package when it comes to the floor. That legislation would also need to go to the Senate. So what happened was they worked on this for a long time. It says Democrats passed the rule to advance Biden's social spending bill about 1:30 a.m. They got to the point where they're trying to get this other spending bill done. This is going to be that giant, it's like a $2 trillion stimulus, $1.75 trillion stimulus. So that's close to 3 or 4 trillion total that they're going to be spending. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the dollar. It's going to raise inflation. Prices are going to go through the roof. That gallon of milk is not going to be $5 anymore. It's going to be $15. That's because of the government spending so much money. It has nothing to do with supply chains. It has nothing to do with supply and demand. It has strictly to do with the fact that they've printed $10 trillion over the course of the last 2 years. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on people that the poor, the middle class, all of them are going to be affected by that. I always try to encourage people to pick up some Bitcoin. Take your, if you have cash at the bank, put it into Bitcoins, put it into gold and silver. It's going to protect your wealth. If you don't want to do either of those, pick up some land, pick up some food, because inflation is going to just erode a lot of the products that you have out there. If you can get like canned goods and things like that, because you know, a can of beans or whatever right now is going to cost you what, $2, and inflation is going to push that price up to $5, $10, maybe $15 for a can of beans. So if you buy them today at $3, that's going to buy you a lot more. So you can buy those and hold them for down the road. But the Democrats right now, they want to just go out there and spend as much money as they can. They want to tax, they want to spend. They have all these great programs. You know, I think that some of them are good. But the problem is they don't understand basic economics, and if they print all this money, all the prices that we go out there and see are going to be rising all the time. So the middle class and the poor are the ones that really get affected by inflation the hardest. Democrats just don't understand that. They think, well, if we just continue to spend and give everybody money, that somehow is going to increase productivity, it's going to increase the economy, which is really not. There's going to be some real bad. I think there's going to be a lot of people are going to be affected by this whole thing coming down the road. It's really going to be having a real estate crash. We're going to have a stock market crash, and if the stock market crashes based on the inflation still being low, I think that's going to be amazing to see it, because normally the stock market crash if the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, and that's something I don't think they're going to be doing. So at 1:30 a.m. it said it didn't happen as quickly as they planned, but the Democrats voted in the earliest hours on Saturday to approve a procedural measure bringing them a step closer to passing Biden's Build Back Better Act. The vote on the rule, which will govern debate of the legislation when it eventually reaches the floor, proceeded as expected, 221 to 213 along strictly party lines. While every Democrat voted for the measure, the unanimity that's thrown into doubt early in the day when a group of moderate lawmakers threatened to oppose the rule unless the bipartisan infrastructure bill passed on the House floor. So a lot of liberals, a lot of these progressives, they wanted both these bills done. They wanted all their spending packages in there. Now, I don't give Republicans a pass on this, because Republicans, they love to spend their money too. They love to go out there and spend other people's monies. And one of the things is that government eventually runs out of other people's money to spend. So what do? They have to go print it. They have to borrow it. They have to go to the Federal Reserve and say, hey, we need some more money. That's what's happening. And these infrastructure bills are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, the next bill that they come out with is probably going to be $5 trillion, maybe $10 trillion. That's just, to go borrow that money. If they're taxing people if they bring in, $1 or $2 trillion and they spend $5 or $6 trillion, there's a big gap in there, and it's going to put so much pressure on the dollar right now. So the House passes the infrastructure bill, sending it to Biden's desk. House Democrats late Friday night clinched a long-sought victory on President Biden's domestic agenda, passing a $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill while preparing to advance an even larger social spending package. After months of stubborn infighting that's bedeviled the party and helped deflate Biden's public standing. The vote came after progressives caved on a key demand they'd maintained for months. There are instances that the climate and social spending package be passed on the same day as the more popular infrastructure proposal. You know, they have a lot of good things in there. The Democrats, I mean, obviously are trying to put a lot of things in there as far as the climate. They want more electric and less fossil fuels, all that. You know, I get it, but they just want to spend a ton of money. They don't understand that there's a spending problem that's going on in government right now. Everybody wants to get a check. They want to get more checks. They want to get more employment. They want to get more money, and that's great. And I think that during the pandemic, they shut down all the businesses. They forced people to stay home. They should have came out and helped people with that, you know, forcing the people to shut down. But now it's getting to the point where they're opening back the economy. They got to take that money and stop spending it. They got to reduce government spending. That's going to help the economy more. If they really want to take a stimulus, I think they should take stimulus, give it out to people and say, hey, go back to work. We have 11 million jobs in this country right now. Here's an incentive. Here's $1,200 and go back to work. There's 11 million jobs right now. And last month in October, there was only 561,000 new jobs that were created out of 11 million that are available right now. That's not a lot. So there is jobs available for people. It just seems like they're not taking them because of the fact that the government has been handing out so much money. So incentive to go back to work, it would be a good program. People are going to get more stimulus? This big spending bill that they come out with next, there might be a possibility of fourth stimulus in there. But I know the child tax credit is going to extend. That'll be a universal basic income for people that do have children. They'll be getting that money on a consistent basis. So go out there. If you haven't done so already, try to pick up some hard assets. Try to get gold and silver. Try to get Bitcoin. It's really going to protect your wealth. Because if you leave it in the bank account, that is a ticking time bomb because the inflation is eroding those funds in your bank account. That means the purchasing power of those funds is going down. You're going to buy less and less and less every year if you don't do something as far as getting those hard assets set up. You know, Bitcoin, you can buy a percentage of it. Don't go buy those other crazy, stupid coins that are out there now. You're going to get wrecked. It's called rug pull. And those people that create those other coins, they know what they're doing and they're trying to steal your Bitcoins. So just get some Bitcoins, hold on to them, go to Gemini, go to Coinbase, go to some of these places, pick up some good hard assets, buy them, hold on to them, and just protect your wealth while this thing folds out. I think over the course of the next 2 years, we're going to see some massive craziness going on with the real estate market's going to crash. We're going to see the whole stock market completely pancake. We're going to see probably a new digital currency that's going to come out that's going to put pressure on the dollar. The dollar could tank. That's something that's a possibility down the road. So just do yourself a favor and protect your assets. Try to get into some hard assets. That's going to help you weather this storm that's coming up, that's coming down the road.